Good afternoon and welcome to this episode of the NEPA Thrives Workforce Barriers Summit, addressing obstacles in recruitment and retention. We're going to give it just a couple of minutes to let anyone in the waiting room make their way in before we get started. I thank you all for joining us. We do have a couple of more webinar sessions coming up between now and May 1st. I encourage you to scan using your phone to register for those and learn more. At the end of the presentation, I will have that back up again with what's coming up next. And with that, I am excited to invite everyone to the K through 12 education webinar. Today we are joined by individuals working in the K through 12 system in some way, shape, or form with workforce development. Facilitating our panel today is Emily Pettinato from the Scranton Chamber of Commerce. We also have Sue Cole from the Luzerne Intermediary Unit, Carla Carlucci from the Career Technical Center here in Scranton, Franny Chandler from Educational Opportunity Centers, and finally Kate Logan from Nobel Biometrics, who is a member of the NEPERC Dream Team. And with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and hand this over to Emily.
All right. Thank you, Corin. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Emily Pettinato. I am the Workforce Development Specialist at the Greater Scranton Chamber of Commerce, where our programs focus on business education partnerships. So I'm very pleased to be moderating this conversation today, along with some people I work very closely with as well. Today, we're focusing on a critical topic, how the foundation of a strong workforce begins as soon as children enter school. The Pennsylvania Department of Education recognizes that by connecting students with career opportunities early and aligning education with workforce needs, we can build a sustainable talent pipeline. From establishing career benchmarks in K-12 education to implementing innovative programming that supports career development, our efforts today will shape the economic vitality of tomorrow. Research such as findings from UScience highlights the importance of introducing career pathways to students early on to ensure their readiness and alignment with industry demands. Reports from the Hunt Institute and the Education Commission of the states further emphasize the critical need for collaboration between K through 12 and post-secondary systems, as well as partnerships with employers to strengthen career development and ensure that education remains relevant to workforce needs. During this session, we'll explore how current programming is shaping career readiness, gain insights into key benchmarks, and discuss actionable strategies for employers to partner with educational institutions. Together, we can enhance the workforce pipeline and drive economic growth throughout the region. Thank you all for joining and being part of this conversation. We'll begin with some brief introductions and descriptions of the work currently underway in our region's school systems. So first, I would like to introduce Sue Cole from LIU 18. Sue, if you mind popping in, introducing yourself, talking about your role, and what are some of the key pieces of your work that you are doing throughout the region?
Sure. Thanks. Thanks, Emily. My name is Sue Cool. I'm from the Luzerne Intermediate Unit. I'm also the Career Readiness PA liaison for Regions 7 and 5, which is Northeastern Pennsylvania and that northern tier. So truly, I am the connection between our K through 12 districts in our regions and PDE. I work with our districts to talk about the career education and work standards, the career readiness benchmarks, and how districts can support their students from a K through 12 initiative for including those career pathways, interest areas for students, career exploration, awareness. And I also work with businesses, community agencies, and our districts to connect them together to offer some work-based learning opportunities for our students in the region.
Thank you, Sue. How has our school system taken on moving all children towards career pathways that goes beyond college preparation?
So PD has really done quite a few things to help support our districts, and we know that there are kids, there are students out there where a high school diploma is not going to be enough to get them a sustainable job, a family wage sustainable job. We know that about 63% of the jobs currently, we need some sort of post-secondary education or training. And when I say education, I'm not talking a four-year college. I'm talking about on the job training. It could be apprenticeships, it could be 2 years degree, it could be certification training, including those 4-year degrees. And we also know that in STEM jobs, we need about 91% of those STEM jobs that are here and that are coming into the future need additional training for that. So PDE back in 2006 came out with the Career Education and Work Standards. It is a K through 12 standards that crosswalks all different subject areas for schools, and how teachers can start working on those skills and those standards and embed them within their own curriculum. In addition, we've come out with in 2015 when Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA, took the place of No Child Left Behind. Pennsylvania was one of the first states that said, we're going to not look just at student scores on those standardized tests, the PSSA tests, the Keystone exams. We're going to look at those test scores, but we're also going to focus on college and career readiness. And PDE was one of the first states to do this. And this is federal reporting. So Pennsylvania has said, we're going to report our scores, but we're also going to report on that college and career readiness for our students. And the college and career readiness includes career readiness benchmarks, which I'm going to talk about, and industry-based learning indicator. So there are two separate things that districts really have to focus on. The first are those career readiness benchmarks. And these are benchmarks that are reported to the state in grades 5, 8, and 11. And districts actually have to state whether their students have created career readiness artifacts within those grade bands. So in fifth grade, districts need to report that each child has two pieces of evidence for each year. So 2 in third grade, 2 in fourth grade, and 2 in fifth grade. And these are student created artifacts that talk about career awareness, mostly in those elementary school years, and career interest inventories. What are kids interested in? What are they good at? And how do they start exploring those careers so that they learn more about what are the jobs in our community? In eighth grade, it gets a little bit different. Districts are reporting again that their students have completed 6 pieces of evidence. This grade band does not state that it has to be 2 pieces per year. PDE does recommend 1 in the fall, 1 in the spring for each student. But the 8th grade band includes what's called a student plan, a student guide. So students need to start thinking about what are they interested in after high school. So now we really start focusing in on individualized plans for students, what courses they should be taking in high school. Should they be considering CTC programs? We're going to be talking about CTC programs later. We also want students to start thinking about, do they want to go to college? Is it a program? Are they interested in a program that might be a 2-year degree? Is it a certification program? Or do they want to go to that 4-year college? And this is when kids really need to start focusing in on, what are my future plans? How much do I want to spend for that? Do I want to go to a 4-year degree? Is it worth it? And we really need kids and teachers and school counselors to start talking about these things at an earlier age than we normally do. In 11th grade, PDE has said that not only do we need 6 pieces of evidence like the 5th and the 8th grade band, but we also need 2 pieces of evidence that reflects back on that student plan that they created in 8th grade. So individualized attention to, these are the programs maybe that I've looked into. These are the jobs that I've researched. So kids know more about the jobs that they're interested in. We have lots of kids that are going to college, that are going to a 4-year generalized degree. And during their junior or senior year in college, that's when they actually get some hands-on, maybe internship. And many times we find that kids realize at that point that this really isn't what I was interested in. Those 4-year generalized degrees, kids are graduating from college and they're underemployed, which means that they're getting jobs that they could have gotten without that 4-year degree. And they're not making the money that they thought they would be making. So lots of things go into helping students get to that point. And PDE has put a few things in place to help students, help school district employees and guidance school counselors to support those students. So we've got the career readiness benchmarks, again, reported in grades 5, 8, and 11. But we also have what's called an industry learning indicator. An industry learning indicator focuses on NOCTI exams now at the CTCs, in addition to adding industry recognized credentials and work-based learning. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those two. An industry recognized credential, and I'm going to read this because I just put it up on my screen, is a portable industry recognized credential validating that a student successfully demonstrated skill competencies in a core set of content and performance standards in a specific set of work-related tasks. And industry recognized credentials now are allowed as a pathway to graduation in PDE. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But industry recognized credentials could be things like Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word. It's those skills that kids will probably need in a lot of jobs that are out there. Industry recognized credentials would normally something that we consider and are associated with CTCs. But PDE has said, you know what? We think industry recognized credentials are really good for all kids in academic high schools, as well as kids in CTCs. And I work with some districts trying to incorporate some of those industry recognized credentials within the curriculum that they have already. Industry recognized credentials are a pathway to graduation. So for kids to graduate in Pennsylvania, we normally look at those state assessment, those Keystone exams. If a student passes all their Keystone exams with proficient or advanced, they have a pathway to graduation. But we've got some students that are not able to score proficient and advanced on all of those Keystone exams. So Pennsylvania has stated that industry recognized credentials are a pathway to graduation. So if a student can accumulate those industry recognized credentials, help them get a job after high school, that's a pathway to graduation. And I think that's a really good thing for a lot of our students. The industry-based learning indicator also includes work-based learning opportunities. And we know that work-based learning opportunities, those hands-on learning and the hands-on just observations of what a really job does helps our students. We know that about 60% of our students that we send out in job shadowing at the high school level, they come back and they say, this job is not for me. And that's perfect, because this is when we want kids to recognize this is for me, this isn't for me. That job I'm not interested in. I didn't realize they did all those things. And funny story, I'm going to watch my time, but we had a number of students that were interested in job shadowing pre-COVID that we sent out to the state police. And many of them sat on the side of the roads for job shadowing. And half of the kids came back and said, this was the most boring day I've ever had, and this is not for me. And half of the kids came back and said, we sat on the side of the road and we gave tickets. It was great. But these are sort of things that we need to consider. We need kids to actually see what's going on out there. Go for plant tours, go for job shadowing, look at those internships earlier rather than later. And I probably talked too long, but hopefully I covered some of the things we wanted to talk about.
Thank you, Sue. Just thinking about your comments and insight here that you shared, I was wondering what is something the business community can do to facilitate work-based learning experiences and industry recognized credentials for students?
That's a great question. And we truly need our businesses out there, our labor and industry. We need to really focus in on those work-based learning opportunities and giving students and teachers and I add teachers because teachers are those people that see these kids every day and can recommend some of the jobs that are out there. Kids need to know what are those jobs in demand that are out there. How do I get prepared for those jobs? And what does the job day look like? So it's either having businesses inviting kids and teachers into their workplace or coming out to the kids and offering opportunities to learn more about the jobs and introducing maybe some teachers to some of the skills that they're looking for those kids to get in high school before they graduate.
Thank you. That's definitely something we try to do through our chamber programming through Educator in the Workplace, which Kate and Carla participate in as business hosts to make sure teachers are aware of the opportunities for their students in the area. So with that, I would like to introduce Carla Carlucci from the Career Technology School in Scranton to give some insight into the work that they are doing for students moving into the workforce.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carla Carlucci. I'm the director of the Career Technology Center of Lackawanna County. We basically provide, I want to say basically, we provide education to 8 member districts throughout Lackawanna County. So we have Scranton School District, Dunmore School District, Mid-Valley, Lakeland, and I hate when I list it because I know I'm going to forget a couple, Carbondale, Forest City, and North Pocono. I believe those are all 8 districts that we have a consortium with. We also have students that participate in our school from non-member districts. Abington Heights sends quite a few students to us, and then we also have some private schools along with Western Wayne School District. Since I have been here at CTC, I started in 2015 at CTC, and at that time our enrollment was at 613 students. This year, at the start of this school year, our enrollment has increased to 953 students. So we are pretty much at almost full capacity here at CTC. Most of our programs have either full enrollment, which is 25 students per session in the morning or the afternoon. We do have some that basically have some open spots, and we're looking to fill those. But most of our programs have full capacity, and in addition to that, we have a wait list for quite a few of our programs. Some of them are the traditional programs when you think of career and technical education. A lot of times we have to go back and say, we'll tell people, when I tell people I'm a director of a career tech ed center, they're like, well, what's that? They're not 100% sure. And I'm like, well, remember VOTEC in high school? And they're like, oh, okay. So a lot of people remember it as vocational education. Technically, that's taboo. You're not allowed to say those words anymore. But part of it is we are, I know the focus is getting students ready for careers, but we like to highlight that we are both preparing kids for career and college readiness. And we emphasize that we are making kids both career and college ready is because I think there's such a focus on, and sometimes, people say, well, that kid's not going to college, so let's send them to career tech schools. And really, you could do both. We have kids at our school who, if you came to our graduation night, which is like the best night of the year for me because it's so inspiring to see everything that the students have earned. We give out, I don't want to say we give out, we highlight the scholarships that students have earned, and it's well over $2 million in scholarships that our students are utilizing to continue on the pathway that they've learned at CTC. So we prepare students, again, for both career and college readiness. And I think when you think about career tech ed, or what some of us know as vocational ed, a lot of people tend to think of traditional vocational classes. And so if you have not stepped into a career tech ed school ever or in a long time, I highly recommend that, especially our business partners, that's something that you try to set up with your local vocational school. We're always opening our doors to people in the community. As Emily had mentioned, we host the Educator in the Workforce. We love to bring people into our school to see what we're about because we don't just offer the traditional skilled trades areas that most people think about, such as carpentry, masonry, building mechanics, cosmetology, welding. Yes, we offer those programs, but we also offer pathways that maybe people would not realize would be part of a career and technical education center. So we have something called creative communications pathways, where the students come in and learn digital communication design, illustration and design, print production technology. We also have cybersecurity. We have an engineering, systems engineering and SMART program. We just started a robotics and automation program because manufacturing is booming in northeastern Pennsylvania, and we're helping to feed that pipeline. I'm going to just put a little claim out there. If you know anybody who's interested in becoming a robotics teacher, our current one is retiring. So please, if you know anybody in the manufacturing business, have them reach out to me. We could talk about credentialing and what is needed for that. We also offer courses in the healthcare industry. So students can come in and basically learn about medical assistants and patient care technician. And then they sit for their CCMA or their patient care technician license at the end of their senior year. Kids are actually prepping now for it. And they could leave here with the certification that allows them to go work directly in a doctor's office as a medical assistant or patient care technician. So I think when we think about career tech ed, these are some new pathways that we've offered that people would not think about, and that has allowed our numbers to continually increase. So that's just kind of an overview of what we're doing at CTC. Emily, do you want me to continue? I know there's a...
Yeah, if you could talk about what is different about career and technical education of today.
Yep.
Directly impacts
Yep.
business throughout our region.
Absolutely. So so a little bit about what's different today, and I've hit on this a little bit in my introduction because I just tend to ramble. I'm very passionate about career tech ed, but again, when we go back to, I highly recommend to come to our school if you want to come and see a tour. But career technical education is, when you look at what we're doing today and the requirements, and Susan hit on quite a bit of this, but I'm going to expand on it a little bit more from the career technical education of, what's happening today in career tech ed schools that's different than in previous years. So one of the things, first of all, is Pennsylvania Department of Education. Technically, we're under the Bureau, the Department of the Bureau of Career and Technical Education. And so through PDE, they had come together and developed what's called Program of Study task lists. So basically, they are task lists, kind of like for high school kids who are taking algebra and the algebra keystones, or ELA, English language arts, whatever those academic standards are. These POS task lists are basically the standards for each program. So there's a task list for plumbing that identifies every single task that a student needs to know before they graduate. It's basically under the understanding that students would complete it within 2 years, possibly within 3 years if needed. But it identifies multiple tasks that the students should be learning over the 3 years that they're here. And so it could be anything in terms of basic safety concepts, such as even learning how to work a fire extinguisher, to something more complex, to, possibly, doing the CPR certification, which is not just a one-step thing that the students are going to be learning how to do, or maybe changing an engine, or changing oil, or changing a tire on a car. So it's a little bit more complex. Some of the tasks, even though it's a one-line item, it takes a significant amount of time for the students to learn. All of these tasks, basically, some are theoretical, so that the students have to know, theoretical concepts behind what they're learning. And then also there's skills assessments. So students are required to learn this, and then to determine if they actually had learned the task. First of all students are graded on a rubric, and it's a 1 to 4 rubric that's developed basically across the school and across the state. 1 being the students need a lot of assistance, 4 is they could completely do it on their own. Basically, they're ready for an entry level position. But also in their senior year, another way to assess the students, not just using these rubrics, but also there's something, and Susan had referenced this a little bit. It's really a national assessment, but Pennsylvania has developed some of their own. It's called NOCTI, NOCTI, and the NOCTI is given to the students. First, there's a pre-NOCTI in the fall of their senior year, and then we follow up in the end of their senior year. A lot of our kids actually this week, our seniors, are doing their skills portion of the NOCTI, but the NOCTI has two parts on it. There's a written test to assess their theoretical knowledge, and then there's a practical skills assessment. And that's what a lot of kids are taking this week. We bring in business and industry partners to come in to assess the students on various tasks that they have to complete. So again, if you're a business partner that's watching this and want to know how you could get involved, we are always looking for people to come in to help out with NOCTI. And that involves even coming in and doing presentations with the kids. So that's one way that you could get involved with your career tech ed school. Another way is also serving on the occupational advisory committee. So that's another thing that career tech eds do, to ensure that we're preparing kids for the local industry demands. We have something called occupational advisory committee. So every program that we have at CTC, which we have 22 programs, has to have an occupational advisory committee that consists of people from business and industry. And we do have some people also from colleges, but it has to be a mix of the two different groups where they come in and they work with the teachers to talk about, what's the latest equipment that's being out there that we need to train our students on, that we need to purchase. What are the latest technologies that you're seeing in the industry that we want to make sure that our kids are, on top of learning these advanced techniques. And then looking at the program of study task list that was developed by the Department of Education. The OAC partners can actually add to that task list. They could say, hey, in this area in northeastern Pennsylvania, cars deal a lot with potholes and these type of repairs, and kids really need to learn how to definitely be able to do X, Y, and Z because of this. So in terms of providing input, these OAC business committee meetings, they meet twice a year, and that's another way that businesses and outside partners can get involved with the career tech ed school. Some other things that we're doing in terms of that's preparing students that impacts local industry businesses. We have a cooperative education program. So we have students starting in junior year, they could go out. So they could go out fourth quarter of their junior year. So we have a bunch of kids now who are just starting to go out on co-op to local businesses. So if you're looking to serve as a mentor and hire a student and to be their mentor, we can set up an agreement through our cooperative education program. We have right now about 50 seniors that had started the beginning of this year and that have been successfully going out to businesses and industry working. And when you think about our graduating class is about 270 students, 50 seniors is a good portion of our students who we send out into business and industry. Our co-op requirements, we don't just send out any student. They have to, basically have not be an attendance issue, no real discipline. When I say no real discipline, if there was something like a dress code violation, we might approve the student to go on co-op. But if they are major discipline issues, concerns, we don't allow the student to go on co-op. And they have to have a grade of 85 or better in their program in order to be considered to be able to go out on cooperative education. So that's another, again, we have 50 students out and probably about 30 different businesses that we've partnered with this year. So that's another way that businesses can get involved with career tech ed. If that's something that you're interested in directly in Lackawanna County, you could certainly reach out to me and I could get you in touch with our co-op coordinator. Just trying to think some other things in terms of, talking about the technology. Another important part with the OACs is not just recommending things for the program, such as, here's an important piece of equipment that you would need for your students to be able to learn what's being taught in industry or need it in industry. An important part of that OAC is because we received probably about, just this past year alone, we received about $500,000 in grants that helps cover those equipment purchases. So, for example, we had recently bought a $40,000 engine trainer for our automotive students. We have a couple already down there, but that class has 100 students in it. So purchasing these extra pieces of equipment to get the students trained, that all comes through our OAC committee members, basically making the recommendation, and then there's usually approval process. So that's an important piece of this. Some other things that we do as a career tech ed school that probably people don't realize, I think a lot of people think, we focus on grades 10, 11, and 12. Susan kind of hit on this a little bit, with the Department of Education, increasing requirements where students have to have career readiness artifacts across the grade levels. And that has helped us tremendously as a career tech ed to help basically increase awareness of what we offer to all students in our schools, because we now do 5th grade career camps where our school districts bring kids in. And I love the 5th grade career camps because our students, our high school students actually set up the career camps, and they teach the 5th graders about, whatever it is they're presenting. So culinary might have some type of quick culinary trick they're doing. Cosmetology might be doing some type of insert into the hair, but the kids rotate just like you would at a regular career fair, but this is designed for 5th graders, rotating around to the 12th grade tables, and they learn a little bit about each of the programs and take artifacts with them to go towards their portfolios. We also have 7th and 8th grade career camps that are offered in the summer to get students in to the door. And again, these are made available through grants, so students don't have to pay for them. We have a Weldosaurus camp where kids can build an actual dinosaur using metal, and they learn how to weld. And we have, some other camps in terms of the creative communications pathway, cybersecurity. So quite a few different ways to get the students interested in learning about what are all the different careers that are available out there. I think Susan kind of hit the nail on the head of, maybe it's a kid comes and they find out they don't want to do this. And that's okay, because it's better than going off to a 4-year college and paying all that money. So this helps get students aware of what career tech ed does and what is available for them. So I don't know where I am time-wise. I think I'm over my limit, so I'm going to stop talking. But Emily, if there's anything else that you have a question on or that I didn't hit on that you think I should, let me know.
No, thank you, Carla. Thank you for sharing. I definitely think that there is less of a stigma around going to CTCs, and it's awesome to see how much you have increased enrollment over the past couple years.
Thank you. Yes, I agree. And the stigma, we're constantly fighting it, but I definitely think it has lessened over time. So,
which is awesome. So now I would like to welcome Franny Chandler from Educational Opportunity Centers, share more information about their programming and what they provide in the region. So welcome, Franny.
Thanks, Emily. Hi, everyone. I'm Franny Chandler, and I am the team lead with the Educational Talent Search Program through Educational Opportunity Centers of PA. We exist to help individuals advance their education and careers. We have 5 school districts that I particularly work in our target schools with students 6th through 12th grade, and we do a variety of things. I'll get into that with my next question, Emily, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
So how do programs that supplement what school districts can provide make an impact on our young individuals, leading them to a variety of employment or training opportunities out of high school that have an impact on workforce development?
Great, thank you. So at EOC, we supplement what the school districts do in a very impactful way. Every lesson that we do focuses on educating our youth on a potential career, post-secondary option, or teaching financial literacy to inform the students to make the best decision for their future. We do this in a variety of ways. We work with the school districts and go into the school regularly throughout the school day. We offer workshops. I can stop in just to see a student to do their FAFSA application. I could be called there if they need me just to talk to a student about a career that they may be going to shadow within the future. So we just try to get in there, make sure that we're seen, offer regular programming. And on the other hand, we provide after-school workshops, both in person and virtually, because we do know the struggles. I
Franny, you
apologize.
just went on mute.
Yep, sorry about that. With transportation and other, obstacles for students to get to be familiar with the career that they may be interested in. We also have a very robust summer program that we can do more in-person things that we offer students transportation. We take them to see local businesses. We may visit a college. We may have someone come into our location as far as a business individual and speak about their career so the student can become familiar with that. All of our students are offered to participate in anything that may interest them. So it's a good way to get them familiar with a variety of careers rather than just focus on one, because as you all mentioned, they may think they know what they want to do, but the more they get to see different things, it may spark something for them. So we at EOC pride ourselves in creating an innovative program to engage with the students. We offer everything hands-on. It's all free of charge, and we provide any supply that they may need as well if we were doing something hands-on, or if, for example, we hold paint and sips and things like that. So we would give them the canvas, we'd give them the paint, we'd offer them to meet with an artist to teach them about art careers. That's just an example of one of the things that we may do. We just like to connect them with mentors and people who already have the experience, can give them the opportunity to get to learn through them. We have a career exploration program. We cover a variety of different careers in that. Recently, for the medical career, we had a surgery live, and it was a virtual field trip. So we took the students to be part of it virtually in the school districts. There was over 600 students who got to view a surgery performed from start to finish. So they got to interact with all varieties of people, the nurse, the doctor, the anesthesiologist. We had someone coordinating the whole thing. They could offer question and answer to the students. It's just a way to see, is this something that I may want to do after I graduate high school? We push trades on the students as well. We want them to know that, 4-year traditional college is not for everyone. So there are ways that we can provide them with other opportunities and things to see so that they can, possibly find a career in the future. Each year we hold an upcycle fashion show. This is a little different because we like the students to be all hands on with this. It is done usually at the marketplace at Steamtown. The students sign up and they sign up for a committee. So it could be the marketing side of it. It could be the fashion side. We have the students make all of the flyers. We have them DJ. We literally allow them to perform the whole fashion show. And in that, they get to know about different careers throughout that. If they wanted to do every committee, they can do every committee. We have virtual workshops so that they can meet with people. For example, Jeremy Luan came in last year and talked to the students about his experience with fashion, and that was just a way to connect them with someone who already has that experience. I'm rambling, Emily, I'm sorry. But basically, guys, we like to get into the school. We like to offer them career exploration programs. We do hands-on activities, anything that a student may want to do. If they said, Miss Franny, can I shadow a doctor? We're going to connect them with that doctor. Can I see an artist? We'll connect them with an artist. It may be virtual. It may not be in person, but it's a way just to connect and get them to collaborate with someone that they may already have an interest in.
Thank you, Franny.
No problem.
And who better to talk about fashion than Jeremy Luan, honestly.
Yes.
We definitely love that.
Thank
So
you.
next up, I would like to introduce Kate Logan from Noble Biomaterials. Kate is a member of NEPERC's Dream Team, which is an awesome program that has started maybe in the past 3 years now, which gives individuals working in manufacturing careers the opportunity to go into classrooms to talk about their careers in manufacturing. And so students can relate to that and see themselves and understand what that career is and pathways into manufacturing. So welcome, Kate. If you could start by telling us how you got involved in the Dream Team and some things you've experienced during your time working on the program.
Thank you, Emily. So first off, I've been involved with NEPERC since 15 years now, so ever since I've been in manufacturing. But the NEPERC Dream Team, I've been part of since its inception. It is really an incredible initiative that even received the Excellence in Economic Development Gold Award last year for international economic development. The Dream Team helps with career exploration. And as each one of us Dream Teamers do go to career fairs or go to schools, we share our real life experience in the industry. And we can, straight from the horse's mouth. And when speaking with students, we do have our own individual PowerPoints presenting what our specific career paths are in manufacturing. So for mine is quality systems management, and I share about internal auditing and external auditing, agreements, maintaining quality, upholding, the customer's expectations. And I also cover soft skills, which teachers, I've been thanked numerous times that one of them is be on time, and sharing that with students. And when speaking with students, I usually start with the initial question of, what do you want to do professionally? Not necessarily, what do you want to go to college for? Because as we know, not every single student wants to go to college, is destined for college, and it's not always a necessity, especially for what they want to do or what they want to be, dependent upon their career. And I have to say it's about a 50-50 split. Most students know, yes, absolutely, I'm going to be a veterinarian. There's no question. This is my vision. And some just truly don't have that vision. And what the Dream Team does is we're not just going into high schools, we're also going into elementary schools. And there's excellent, STEM programs, junior achievement, when they have their training days with the students to kind of share about those things. And just wonderful initiatives that kind of just all commingle. But when presenting to students also, I try to share the insight and change the stereotype, the misconception of, manufacturing's dark, dangerous, dirty. And, you picture intense labor or that it's male dominated. For example, I think it's about 60-40 at Noble Biomaterials, mostly women. And one of my favorite moments speaking with students is the aha moment on their face. Usually when sharing salary, yes, I do share my salary with students. I think it's a taboo thing and I try to change that. And talking about the medical benefits, they might not be thinking about that now, but the medical benefits, the matching of the 401k, explain how manufacturing is more than just the production worker. And there are various career opportunities in manufacturing. You think just production worker. It's just a blank slate that's what it is. But there's marketing, there's customer service, there's sales, there's human resources, there's finance, there's supply chain, there's material handling, there's maintenance. All these diverse factors, most importantly, are transferable skills. So you could go from one manufacturing to another manufacturing facility and take those aspects, take those skills with you, and that manufacturers will invest in your career. If you're genuinely curious and passionate, just as I am about manufacturing, I've attained over 10 certifications that my manufacturing companies have paid for me to enhance and hone my skills. So I manufacturing across the board.
Kate, I definitely think those aha moments translate well to individuals working as teachers and just individuals in business and industry, because every time I've seen a Dream Team member speak and maybe especially you. Um, the audience is just like jaw dropped. So I think a program like the Dream Team is amazing to bring into schools because it helps everybody think about how could I be in Kate's shoes or something similar to that. So I think it's definitely a great way to start developing that talent pipeline into a high priority occupation like manufacturing. In your opinion, Kate, how has employer engagement helped the manufacturing industry? And why do you think programs like the Dream Team are a valuable resource for workforce development efforts?
Um, so it's Noble, I have to say, fully supports the Dream Team. They're able to sacrifice me for some time. I try to definitely space my time out as best I can. But with them supporting me, it not only fosters the future employees, but my future colleagues. It supports our local community. It supports our economy by stimulating by the stimulating manufacturing. And which is a prominent aspect as we've seen in NEPA. You go to the Hanover Industrial Park, you take a drive around Scranton. But employer engagement has significant benefits by the manufacturing industry for fostering a skilled, motivated production workers, where ultimately boosting productivity, innovation, and safety, and again, kind of trying to kill that stereotype or misconception that it's for dumb people. It's for the less educated or less motivated people. But programs like the Dream Team are just so valuable as they connect these young professionals, myself and all the other Dream Team ambassadors, with these industry leaders by providing valuable career opportunities, exploration, mentorship. I have to say, with the educator in the workplace, the times that I've been with the CTC, with Junior Inspire, with STEM, with the WVIA videos, the Skills in Scranton, these are all valuable aspects to kind of give students this kind of exposure to the industry, so they could really understand it. And the job shadowing, it's definitely a valuable aspect.
Thank you, Kate. So I have one final question, and I would like to open it up to all of our panel members. To open up the conversation to talk about what do we think is missing within our current workforce efforts for youth, and how can our business and industry partners help?
Since I'm off mute, I'll start.
Go ahead.
I think all the panelists have touched on this, but is improved understanding of what to expect in a career, to expect what the day-to-day is, the salary, the importance of benefits that your employer may offer, compensation for further education, if that's available. In yesteryears, I could speak for myself in high school, we didn't really have career fairs. I wish we had, like, all these amazing programs that are out there now. And having these having more robust shadowing experiences or apprenticeships. I think those are incredibly invaluable. And then soft skills. Soft skills is something to definitely hone on. We spoke earlier about the techniques and the discipline of learning Excel. Excel is definitely a forefront in manufacturing for sure, but communication skills, picking up the phone, not necessarily just sending a Teams message or a text message, showing up, being on time. I'm not going to lie to you, the ability even to read a ruler sometimes is not understood. So even some of these more simplistic things that we don't really even think about, these are some of the skills that are lacking too in the workforce.
I agree with Kate. I think another thing that really is needed is just for more businesses to be willing to open up their doors to allow us to bring the students in, to see them, to talk to them, to give all of that Kate just mentioned, so that they can really see it and hear it from the individual that is the manager at that program, what they want, what they need, what is required for that job. or education.
So I would like to add, definitely reinforcing what Franny and Kate had said, but something that's a little bit unique and probably you would not be expecting to hear is transportation. We find that a lot of kids can't go out and work because of transportation or lack thereof. And we actually have had some businesses who have come up with creative ways to provide transportation to students, to the workforce, and or just getting them home. And even in my husband's company that they work at, people are driving other people home, just trying to get the workers at the business working and then trying to get them home. And so I don't know an answer to that, but I know that's definitely a need in terms of, when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to get my license, and all my friends were that way. Well, number one, kids don't want to seem to be getting a license, but also because, what comes with that? They have to buy a car, the insurance, and they might not have the money. So if we could come up with some creative solutions around that, that's definitely something that I'm open to hearing.
And I agree with our other presenters today. We need businesses, industry to can try to better connect with districts, and I don't think they're unwilling. I think they're just not sure how to go about doing that. I think we have a lot of good things going on in northeastern Pennsylvania, but I think we work in silos sometimes. I think we need to really understand what's out there and how to better connect with one another. um, yeah, I think we're doing some great things. When I talk about K through 12, we know that our school counselors are overwhelmed with lots of crises, mental health, behavioral health issues. Sometimes they're stretched then. And I think someone touched upon the educator in the workplace before. I think that's a huge part of getting kids connected to our local workforce, is getting teachers to understand a little bit more about what are those jobs in our industrial parts, and parents as well. What are those jobs? We see lots of, we have a ton of industrial parks here. We have some great companies, and we drive past them. We're not quite sure what they do in there. I drive through an industrial park and I might know the name of the company, but not really sure what they do in there. So if we can get more of that information out to our students, to our teachers, to our parents, we've got some really great companies who've got some really great positions that you may not need a 4-year degree for. You might need some specialized training, but they'll tell you what you need. That would be really helpful. I've had lots of conversations with employers, and Kate, you touched upon it. I've had employers tell me if we can get them to work on time and get them to come back from after lunch, that's huge. So those soft skills of preparing kids, having them be able to communicate well, and understand just the typical day of an employer, and connecting and being willing to learn. Employers have said, you give me the person willing to work and I can train them on anything. We've got everything in place. We just need to connect it a little bit better.
Thank you. And I just want to mention the educator in the workplace over the past 2 years. I would love more and more employer engagement, because the way teachers bring that information back in the classroom is invaluable. Because there are parameters on a lot of businesses where they don't want to bring in students unless they're over 18 years old. So I think a great segue is bringing those educators in. Last year, we had 4 students become employed at Cardinal Glass. They have no way of transportation. They Uber to work every morning. And I know right now they're currently working with Bonnie at the CTC for co-op opportunities. So that's just some great things we have coming out of that program to help us build a talent pipeline. So at this time, and thank you everyone for your input and providing insights and all the work you're doing. So at this time, I would like to open it up to the audience to see if they have any questions. You could put them in the chat, or you could raise your hand.
I'm not seeing any right now, Emily. But feel free to reach back out to me after this. Again, thank you, Emily, for facilitating today's conversation. Um,
Thank you.
and to hear more about the programs that Emily work on, please join us on May 1st. I have one hand raised. Drew
Oh,
Popish.
hi.
Hi, Drew. Come on out. Tell us what the question
I'm
is.
so sorry. I was having technical issues with with the hand raising. I really want to just thank each of you for what you're doing. For those who don't know me, I'm Drew Popish. I'm the Northeast Regional Director for Governor Shapiro's office, and I just think it's so important what you're doing and to support our students, our families, and obviously the Northeast region, but in the end, the Commonwealth. I do want to say that I do think that the governor's budget this year does share the commitment that you all have with like creating opportunities for our students. And I am proud that we are investing 5.5 million increase to CTE. I still call it VOTEC. I'm sorry, I always get in trouble for it. One of the things that I really loved doing last year was I partnered with a lot of the unions and our school districts throughout my region's kind of large. So I have everything from Wayne County to Tioga down to Snyder, then right on up to Pike. And we were partnering with different unions and bringing in the superintendents and the principals would identify students that, you know, they can sense the 4 year standard college, you know, route, whatever wasn't for them. And we brought them in and they got to actually hear firsthand the salaries, oh, their eyes just lit up. They were just like, wait, I could actually make that kind of money. What are you talking about? And they're for jobs that like, guys, we need, you know what I mean? Like I own a house. I can't do anything manual labor wise. So I mean, I'm paying like an electrician $100 to come over to change a light bulb. Like I can't do anything with my hands, and we need these jobs. Like we need these plumbers, we need these, you know, these electricians, manufacturers, all this good stuff. Um, and one of the things, and I loved hearing you talk about sharing the salary. I loved hearing you talk about how it's not dark. I think it was Kate that mentioned it, how these factories are not these dark, dismal, kind of like hidden away in dark areas and no women and all this stuff. My eyes have opened up so much because I had a stigma too just from it, and that's kind of where my question is. I think so much of the stigma. I was in high school like 20 odd years ago, and for me it was always like CTC was what we call the Botech. It was almost for like the bad kids. Like it was almost like the bad kids went there. And little did we know, like come graduation day, they were graduating with their cosmetology degrees while we had our high school degree, and they had no student loans, and they also had jobs come Monday, and they were so much more advanced than what we were actually being told. And I think so much of the stigma is generational, and it's at home. And I think a lot of it too is like, especially growing up in NEPA, I live in Scranton, growing up, it was like, oh my God, you got to move away. You're going to grow up to be like your mother. And you got to run, you got to run. And that's not what it's like anymore. We have jobs here. We have jobs that actually pay really good salaries. And so I guess my ranting and raving, I guess where I'm going to is like, how do we end the stigma at home for parents? Like, because that's, I think a lot of it is what the parents are thinking and what they're teaching and what they're actually understanding CTE to be and not to be. And how do we get that message to them more, if that makes sense? And if it
No,
doesn't, sorry.
it absolutely
It
makes sense,
does.
Drew. And I will say truthfully in that I think that is a question for years and years and years from preschool all the way on up through 12th is how do we get parents involved and on board and to understand? And I would think that Sue and Carla have attempted to kind of bridge that gap, but it is always a challenge. And I think it's marketing, right? And there's some really great pieces going on. The chamber does some great marketing, both in Luzerne and Lackawanna. WVIA is addressing that, but we need to change the narrative of what Northeast Pennsylvania is. And I think that there needs to be public announcements about all the amazing stuff that we learned about today, but I think it's also all the amazing stuff that's going on in our region. And I just don't think we market it enough. It should be on billboards, it should be in buses, it should be on social media about all these amazing things. I think that's the way we reach parents. Is there anyone else who has a thought or idea?
I just, I guess that whole myth building, comes back to me, and based on what you're saying, Corin and Drew, because our fifth grade career fair is probably one of the worst pieces of feedback that I got was, this parent was telling me that her daughter came home and was so super excited and said, like, she came to CTC for the fifth grade career fair, went home, and she's like, today was the best day of my entire life. And her mom's like, why? And she's like, we were at the CTC and I just had so much fun. And the parents tell me, and I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. I'm so happy. What'd she like? And she was telling me. And then she ended with, she's not going to go there because she's going to college. But I just wanted to share with you that she enjoyed the day. And I was like, oh my God, like all of what we just did was like thrown out the window. So, trying to market it, like that's an example. But, even like I said, trying to get people into the door and showing them that we are not what they thought of. I think Drew said, like, that's where the bad kids went years ago. And that's not what it is.
And I think that that's something that, we're all everyone's best kept secret, but I think it's time to stop keeping a secret about all the amazing stuff that goes on. And just looking at our participants today, how many of you are doing some amazing work in this field? So with that, I want to be respectful of time. Again, Emily, thank you so much. If you want to hear more about the work Emily is doing, also the work of our Luzerne or our Wyoming Valley Chamber, and then also what WVIA is, please join us on May 1st in person. We're also inviting employers to attend that session to have some real conversation around, what are their challenges? What are they seeing? Why do they not have the ability to do internships? What is it that we can help with? And then in the next couple of weeks, like I said, we still have some upcoming events that we want to share and have everyone join in on. So on Monday, April 14th, the Welcoming Center is going to be doing a presentation on our hidden workforce, which is our immigrant and refugee population, and really going in depth in how to recruit and retain our immigrant and refugee individuals who are qualified to work and enrich the area. On Monday, April 21st, we're going to talk a little bit about how collaborative efforts can address economic mobility throughout NEPA. And then again on May 1st, from 9 to 12, we'll be in person at Benco Dental. With that, I would like to thank our sponsors here on the screen. We've had some wonderful support throughout this. And I look forward to seeing all of you in person. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.